Hello, freaks, geeks, degenerates, and basement dwellers, and all you excellent scrufftards and the occasional annoying Votnik. Welcome to the Warzone. I'm Skruffy, and this is Skruffytalez. And of course, this turned out to be an extremely interesting Halloween because, by all accounts, Ukraine launched an actual air assault into Pokrovsk to secure a vital corner of Pokrovsk to secure logistics flowing into the city, relying on elite special forces dropping off with Black Hawks and assaulting Russian positions. So we're gonna take a look at that right away. So this, here we can see down here a video of it. Oh, move away, goddammit. So here you can see Black Hawk moving in, and you got infantry spreading out, taking up positions within Pokrovsk or in the outskirts of Pokrovsk. And as it says here, Special Forces and Aviation of the Main Intelligence Directorate of the Ministry of Defense launched a complex landing operations, complex landing gears in Pokrovsk. Storms of military intelligence entered the area of this. What the hell did they use Google Translate for this? Storms of military intelligence entered the areas of the city which the Russian command considered controlled. Stormtroopers of the DUI entered those areas of Pokrovsk that the Russian generals previously declared captured. The fact that they're using special forces dropping in with helicopters kind of hints that Russia had a presence, if you ask me. It's noted that these areas are considered strategically important for Ukrainian logistics. Several helicopters are involved in the operation, and Budanov himself is apparently on the spot and manages the operation personally. And if this is true, it should tell you the importance of Pokrovsk, that Ukraine has no intentions of abandoning Pokrovsk anytime soon, and also the importance of this specific part of the battlefield for Ukraine to maintain control of Pokrovsk. So let's head on over to the maps. So here we have Pokrovsk. Not much has been updated on the maps in the area. So we're going to zoom in here a bit. This is where the helicopters landed, more specifically in this field. Even though my arrow is up here, the landing took place here. This was the LZ, and the Ukrainian special forces moved off into the tree line and then continued into this part of the battlefield. And the importance is, of course, you have Ryshna and you got these two main roads coming in. Extremely vital for the logistics of Pokrovsk. We've been talking about this before. When Russia began infiltrating Pokrovsk, we were talking about how they tried to reach this part and Ukraine pushed them out. But like we said, Russia would make attempts to push back in. They did. And the fact that Ukraine is now deploying these high-speed troops with helicopter should tell us that this part of the battlefield was more or less under Russian control. Or at least there were so many Russians here that Ukraine had issues moving logistics through. So if they did manage to sneak past all the drones and entered the built-up areas, there was a high risk that they would come under fire from Russian infiltration units. And now you have to clear them out, and you have to rely on high-speed special forces to do it. So flying in with the helicopters more than likely took the Russian drone operators by surprise. They were not prepared to respond to such fast-moving vehicles. They're looking for BMPs and trucks and people on foot, and all of a sudden helicopters just swooshed past and made it past all the drones, landed, deployed troops quickly, and then moved out. And that was a swift way to get troops into this part of the battlefield, and also to quickly surprise and overwhelm any infiltration units. They could not respond and set up positions at the landing zone. So it was a fast way to get these troops into the area, bypassing any Russians. The problem is, of course, the Russians now know where the Ukrainians are. So this is going to be a hot spot of Russian drones. They're going to fly around all over the place trying to hunt these guys down. But it does give you a hint on how important these traditional logistical routes are, right? This is where Ukraine wants to move in logistics. This is where they want to move out their wounded. And the same thing goes for this main highway over here coming into town. It's equally important because Ukraine still relies on traditional logistical routes, not just drones. They need these routes open to properly defend the city. So we'll see how this plays out this weekend. This should be a really interesting turn of events unfolding this Saturday, this Sunday. We'll see how this goes. Any Russian deep reconnaissance units here, they're in for one hell of a fight if they come face to face with these high-speed Ukrainians. So the question is, can Russia utilize their drones to maximum effect to counter these elite operators that Ukraine have deployed? Really interesting. But it also tells you how important traditional routes of logistics are. Ukraine really needs this corner open in order to get supplies into the city and hold it. And it also tells us that they really want to hold Pokrovsk. They really want to hold Myrnorod, because like we've been saying for 10 to 12 months, this is where they can grind down the Russians. The Russians have already deployed 170,000 troops in total into this operational area. And they've lost nearly 100,000 casualties, if not more, in the operational area throughout the year. Like we said, a third of all casualties along the entire front line Russia has lost here in and around Pokrovsk. So this is where Ukraine, they want to fight here, and this is where they can grind down the Russians. So I don't think they have any plans of falling back. Maybe down here, Suky Yar, they might abandon Suky Yar eventually. I think that is very reasonable. But Myrnorod and Pokrovsk, this is where they intend to make a stand. They have fortified all logistics leading into these two cities. This is where they want to fight. They've already inflicted tremendous amounts of casualties. And I don't think they're going to leave these two cities anytime soon. But not without Russia trying to push them out. We're seeing an increase in Ukrainian drone activity in Nativka and Ripir. So I think this is an indication that Russia is beginning to saturate these two smaller neighborhoods in Pokrovsk. We talked about this before, that Russia would probably try and push up this way east of this main street to securing these two communities, these two neighborhoods, in order to outflank the high-rise belt. And I think we're seeing that happen. That's why I've dotted the outline instead of having it as a full line. Because I think this is where Russia is beginning to slowly gain the upper hand with saturation units. So it's contested but leaning towards Russian control, is my guess, since we do have a lot of drone strikes here. And with Russia being in control of this part of the high-rise buildings, they're trying to push in here by all accounts. Ukraine has already taken some POWs in this area. I mean, that would allow Russia to push troops through here. And if they can begin to push through Ripir and Nativka and cut this part of the battlefield off, then you have a pincer move, and the high-rise buildings down here may become surrounded, and then Russia can begin to apply pressure, push their way in, securing one building at a time with these Ukrainians cut off, and then have this part of the battlefield under their control. Eventually, I think that might be the Russian plan at the moment. Trying to breach through here and coming around on the flank in order to eventually isolate and grind down any Ukrainian resistance in this corner of the town. So important for Ukraine to come in strongly on Ripir and Nativka, I feel. Hopefully that will happen so that they can push these saturation units back and secure the flanks here, the southern flank of the high-rise belt. But yeah, the big news is, of course, the air assault into this logistical hub for the Ukrainians. We've been talking about this for 10 to 12 months, how Russia would try and come up towards the E50 or try and push through here to reach it. And with an air assault aimed at this location. I think it's safe to say that Russia had a strong presence that warranted a strong response from Ukrainians in the shape of these elite units that can move past the drone screen at speed, quickly deploy and run for cover and begin hunting down deep reconnaissance units. Pro-Russian sources says that this was a complete failure. All helicopters got destroyed and the Ukrainians are being hunted down. Meanwhile, the Ukrainians say they have not lost a single helicopter and that the elite forces are currently cleaning up this part of town. I guess in 2 to 3 days we will find out who was lying and who was telling the truth. Like I said, not that much else going on except for Ukraine maybe expanding control within Rodinske. They made a push down here, and we might see some Ukrainian activity up here as well, widening the gap here between the Russian forces in Rodinske. I'm still waiting for a push down here towards this lake, and because that would cause tremendous issues for the Russians if the Ukrainians can come down here. As you can see, it's a narrow patch here with woods that the Russians can rely on. If the Ukrainians can come down here, then the Russians can only really reinforce their troops bypassing these marshes, and then Ukraine is in a good position to maybe continue out here to whatever this is, and then the troops in Rodinske are really in trouble. Then the Russians can only come in through the south of these towns, these lakes, and these dams, and that should make it a real issue for Russia to maintain pressure within Rodinske and even maintaining pressure in the northwest, even though they can come through Novoekonomichne into town here. But yeah, that's what I'm really hoping to see from the Ukrainians in the coming weeks, a push down here towards these two lakes and the marshes in between in order to ease up pressure on Rodinske. But yeah, the big news, of course, the air assault, and hopefully we'll get confirmation in a day or two that Ukraine is back in control of this corner, and hopefully Ukraine can begin pushing into Ripir and Nativka eventually as well, securing the flanks here on the high-rise belt. That's it. Really interesting stuff. We'll see how it all plays out. I hope you found it interesting and that I'll see you in the next one. As always, go po march, Ukraine, and give them hell.
Every street's a grave, concrete whispers, no one left to say. Shadows move fast, faster than light. City of ashes, born out of a fight. The mud swallows boots and hope alive. Blood pools deep where artillery strikes. Rat's my neighbor, a ghost my guide. Rubble and ruin scream in the air. City of ashes, death everywhere. Step through the fire, step through the flame. City of ashes calls my and tight, songs and grenades, death takes its bite. Blood on my hands, sweat in my eyes. No time to mourn, no time to cry. Wrath is blind, the drones looks down on a wall that swallows men and tanks. corner awaits its pale face. Smells sharp like burning steel. Each breath a curse, not all wounds heal. A hymn of bullets, a choir of fear. Close your eyes, it won't disappear. The trench is home, the grave is near. Mud and thunder, skies turn black. The devil grins, we will attack. We must go forward, no turning back. Concrete jungle, no trees, no shade. Every step closer to a shallow grave. Smoke rising.